live. Just FYI. So you can start talking about pooping again, or stop talking about pooping, whichever one.
No, we should start talking about pooping. That's like excellent content, as it were.
Really gets the stream flowing.
Yes, exactly.
Because I mean, you don't want to
Especially with
start and stop with these things.
no. But I mean, you really got to have it flow too, especially when you're sick, because it's just gonna just all come out.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to get backed
I
up.
took some Pepto Bismol, so hopefully that'll work.
Mm.
So
So
welcome
hey,
on
everybody,
in for.
butt stuff.
I mean, isn't that like typical of like the stream butt stuff,
Mm.
as it were?
Pretty typical. Yeah.
Yeah, so how's everyone doing? Welcome to the Alchemist. Right, it is the second Sunday of the month, and so if any of you are watching that are Patreon of like Social Justice Alchemy, the link should be on the Patreon page.
And I'm
So you
guessing,
can.
like me and the geek, they all forgot about daylight saving times too.
That is very possible. I at least try to like post to like Facebook and like Oh, I should have done it in our Discord too. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm posting a link to like all the places, and I'll just like say we are alive.
I mean, there I was enjoying, watching a nice episode of Marvel Cinematic Universe propaganda, and then I happen to look down at the clock and see it says 1:45. Wait, 1:45, 12:45. Fuck. Hey, Joy. Hey, Limpy.
You found your own glasses again, Limpy. That's good because it always sucks when you like lose your glasses.
So, is anybody else kind of annoyed about all the people standing for, Ukraine and like all the weird, creepy liberal ways and patriotism and all that shit?
What do you
Kind of
mean?
annoying.
Yeah, because like because it's just that like I guess well here's the thing about the liberals as well, the hashtag resistance. Remember, they bet some of them are still upset about Putin for his involvement in the 2016 election because that's in some
That's
of their
our job.
minds.
I mean, like, well, in Tallahassee, the hotel that we have a hotel that had the Ukrainian flag colors. Like they lit their
They
hotel
painted
up
it
to
with
support
lights.
Ukraine. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was that post going around about what's his name, that saying every girl you know or every straight woman you know now has a crush on Ukrainian president. What's his name? What's his nuts? Um,
Vladimir Zelensky.
yeah.
Zelensky
No,
something, yes.
whatever. I mean, the point is, and then the response to that, someone saying, "Please, I beg you, liberals, stop treating this like an episode of a TV show."
West Wing.
Yeah, there
Hmm.
were people I think who wanted not Gerard Barley, Jeremy Renner to play like if there was a movie to come out about this, they were gonna have Renner play the Ukrainian president.
They could have the
Oh,
Ukrainian president play the Ukrainian president. He was a stand-up comedian. He had a TV show.
yeah, he was like their equivalent of Jon Stewart.
Hmm.
And I agree with you, LMP. It's like I want the freedom fries energy stuff against Russia to stop and never come back.
Hmm.
I don't think. Are we going to no? Kielbasa? I don't know what's like a Russian thing that we commonly use. I thought at first time it was like kielbasa, but I don't think that's like Russian specifically. Oh, we're going to call vodka freedom juice or something like that.
Pierogies,
Mm.
latkes, maybe.
Matryoshka dolls.
Metroyushka dolls, yeah.
A lot of foolish things right now.
By the way,
it is
hello, Joe McClure. Camera's not working
Trying
though.
to get the video. I forgot I had the separate camera now.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to leave and come back.
Okay. Because we all know how important it is that like cat videos and cat videos of cats are on this channel.
Absolutely.
And in life.
Speaking of which,
And now, okay, is it that on time or did like Sasha has always been there?
oh, Sasha has always been there, but he was looking a little bit extra cute there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Wesley had a rough morning. He was unhappy.
Mm. That's
because
unfortunate.
he's been having a rough time of it lately with his skin issues. So he was scratching himself, and he was crying because it hurt to scratch himself. So I
Mhm.
went and put the cone on him, and that kept him from scratching himself, but didn't stop him from wanting to. So he was
Mm.
he just had a rough time with it.
So was he? Did he figure out a way to like scratch himself with the cone, or did he just like hurt himself with the cone, still trying to scratch himself?
No, no, he just walked around flapping his head. He knows he can't scratch with the cone on. So he sometimes, gets frustrated enough that he tries, but
Mm-hmm.
no. And it's a soft cone, so it's hard for him to hurt himself with it.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, then again, like part of me is wondering, it's like, is it still possible for him to do that?
No, he resigns himself to the cone whenever it's on. He understands that there is no hope. And
Yeah.
he doesn't like the cone, but he's always a very good boy about letting you put it on him. He doesn't don't resist.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I honestly did not notice that it was like daylight savings time. In part because I stayed up until like past 3 a.m. So it's just like I didn't lose any hours sleep at all.
Yeah. Gotta love the shit flying around the internet too. Going back to Ukraine and Russia, about people pointing out that our response to the invasion of Ukraine or Russia's invasion of Ukraine is very different to our response to our invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People broken
And
out
yet,
the old much of a thing meme, Family Guy meme. Terrorist
oh yeah, yeah.
versus freedom fighter.
Mm-hmm. But but I've seen a version of that Family Guy meme where it's just like on the top with the Russian flag, oligarch. No, on the top of it, the American flag, entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
billionaire, and the bottom of the Russian flag, oligarch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like,
Yeah, I've seen that. Have you guys also seen the South Park thing about it?
Nope.
no, but yeah. Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm just not in the favor of any side on this issue as we're except for the people. I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
hey, absolutely for the people 100%, especially those that like didn't want like want to have a war at like their doorstep or in the backyard at all, and the people fleeing them. But of course, also the like black and brown people like fleeing are treated like the worst of this whole
Mm-hmm.
situation too.
Yes, we want to help
Like,
the Ukrainians. We do not want to help Mexicans and not Lithuanians, Uruguayans. People from the
yeah,
south.
Somalians.
Yeah, shithole countries.
It's, yeah, from Africa and like Asia and stuff like that. Yeah, and Middle East. Mm. Yeah, but also it's just like as something that like it shouldn't be surprising, but still it's just like gross when you see it so explicitly in like news reports from like across Europe or the BBC or something like that, or even America,
We don't
CNN.
expect
It's
this
like,
kind of thing to happen to white people countries.
mm-hmm. Yet that's
Yeah. What?
this.
Why are you Europeans so violent? I thought they always said black people were always so violent. Why are you?
Why aren't we
It's
talking
like you've
about white
had.
on white crime?
Yeah, it's like you guys have had 2 world wars. The worst we've done is stole from banks. You know,
Don't forget of like all those wars that like happened like beforehand, where like war was a noble thing for like Europeans to do, which was them just conquering other places, and then like
right?
wars was just like one or two like big battles, and then like then everyone just like goes home essentially after a
I
deal
just
or treaty. Mm-hmm.
I just think you white folks should stop committing crimes. That's what I think.
I mean, this is
You're not wrong.
this is a stance that's just the alchemy of like canceling white people and ban whiteness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Why are white people even?
this is Slav on Slav crime. Nah, there's that.
Yeah, are they really white if they're from Eastern Europe?
It's that depends on who you ask, I guess. And
What flavor of white supremacist are you talking to?
mm-hmm. Because definitely some people, I think, yeah, because like been listening to like I know speak German podcast hosted by Daniel Harper and like Jake, and the Mike Enoch is actually a Slav too. So like depends on the neo Nazis you talk to, he would not like count. But like again, and again, there are so many fascists that like for the time being they'll allow Malin Yiannopoulos to be in the group, or like Nick Fuentes to be in the group, the Booger Eater. Oh well, but like you never know when it'll be like their time to like go in the oven, as it were.
Just stop committing crimes. That's all I gotta say.
Hey, now also also we got like revamped to like the whole criminal Groundhog 2010. Hey Groundhog, I honestly am amazed that they're still be calling like, Ukrainians white, given how much the British have been like demonizing Eastern Europeans. That's very true as well.
Yeah.
I guess they'll stop demonizing Eastern Europeans once they join NATO, because
Well, they'll stop demonizing, that far east. They'll keep demonizing further east. Because the Russians definitely aren't white. I've seen, we have Vovicat on last week. You can see the epicanthic folds. There's been some miscegenation there.
More specifically, being English conservatives. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. There was something I wanted to say. I was out getting my soda. Well, I'm sure it'll come back to me at a totally inappropriate time. Let's see. Not the podcast. Oh, I was listening to a thing. It's been really wild because I'm far behind on my podcasts, because they're all talking about, will we go to war with Ukraine? How can we stop Russia going to war on Ukraine? Things like that. Well, meanwhile, the war is now already like 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
But
I heard Russia's losing, actually.
Oh yeah. Putin expected to go in and be welcomed with open arms, I think, and have NATO, just let him do what he's saying. And listening to, it was an episode of The Bituation Room with Francesca Fiorini. She had an expert on the issue come in, and he talked about Ukraine and what he thought was the necessary thing to avoid war. And since we didn't do that and we have the war now, who knows? He might have been right. But he talked about how Ukraine had been pushing for ethnic nationalism, an ethno-state. How they were outlawing, teaching in Russian and forcing people to use Ukrainian. And there's a significant Russian ethnic minority in the eastern part of the country and things like that. And so I was thinking, wow, have I been reading Ukraine entirely wrong this whole time? So I looked it up, and the president before the current one definitely was an ethnic nationalist. He pushed really hard for that because he saw he was losing popularity, and he wanted to shore up, and he thought that the eastern and central parts of Russia. Well done, David.
Yes, well
they've
done,
been welcomed
David.
with arms, not open arms, but firearms. But the thing is, this guy was pushing for his ethnic nationalism, and then this comedian comes in, and he says, no, we should not do that. And he not only got strong support in the eastern part of the country with the Russian minority, but also in center and the west of the country, where people were not looking favorably upon that hardline ethnic nationalism that the outgoing president, the former president, had been pushing. So I think Putin really badly misread the ethnic tensions in Ukraine. Is a big part of what happened there.
And
Joe!
Joe, of course, the camera's not working, and you're not connected with our. Welcome in, Joe.
Okay, finally.
I have that T-shirt as a face mask.
Is it the one with the cats? Or...
Yes. The one with
Nice.
the cats.
Since you mentioned like the face masks as were, which I'm still wearing mine. This is a quick little news story, but apparently there was like indie developer on Steam that for some reason decided to put in a anti-mask rant in his like patch notes, as it were. So I put the Kotaku link in in the chat, as it were. I'll go ahead and put it in the R chat so that the folks here can like see it. So Dominion, a small game on like Steam managing gladiators, as well. Okay, it's an interesting concept. Has a for some
sounds like
strange
one of those games where you collect characters and you fight and do these little
Yeah.
storylines. Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's like in what is a normal update patch note, as it were. For some reason, it has like this like tiny section of like. Take off the fucking mask. Next time you're at a grocery store, try showing women your face. Be confident, unafraid of lies. You might get a girlfriend. Women like confidence. Women don't like dudes who cover their faces in fear. What are you afraid of? Getting laid? Grow up.
Good Lord. Somebody is reading a heck of a lot into something. Jesus Christ. Incel to the max.
Yes, exactly. So it's just like people try to like ask like what you mean about lies, or like reaching out to do the journalistic thing. But like once the users saw that as was reported, I think in PC Gamer First, they do the normal thing and like that we do on Steam and review bomb the game, as were, which is now overly negative, as it were. Oh, because of like anti-mask dev is using their patch notes as a glorified Twitter thread. Embarrassing, as one review said.
And David, sorry, go ahead.
Well, to finish up the story, as like people have looked deeper into like the past like patch notes, and a earlier update included a rant against people watching too much porn.
And David, you're correct. Zelensky did grow up speaking Russian as his first language. He's also Jewish. So he's the first Jewish president of Ukraine. So there's a lot of ethnic weirdness going on with Ukraine and this whole thing with Zelensky.
But clearly Russia was in there to remove the Nazis.
Oh yeah, the Nazis had a Jewish president.
But it's also the things like they hate us. They're going to attack us, and they're killing Russians, as it were. They're invoking national nationalism. But yeah, as you said, it was like misreading of the current situation in Ukraine. It's like that's true that like there was a president that they had those pro-ethnic nationalists, but he lost. So. Still, it seems like as like Votencast like it informed us with like a whole history leading up to this point. Is where it's like no, Putin always wanted to like have that kind of like power, as it were, and so this was almost a last-ditch effort to like maintain power, as it were. It's that kind of classic thing. If you feel like you're losing the polls, or you feel like you're losing favor with your populace, as were, war seems to be a good thing to like gym up support, as were, or
what do you call it? What was it? I was reading I saw a video about apparently a press release that was meant to come out after Ukraine was a big success, so is never going to come out. Essentially saying that it was, the first step to bringing Russia to the glory that it had back in the USSR, as opposed to initial reasons.
Yeah. I mean, Putin had that statement of like again the Ukraine and Kiev instead of Kyiv, all believing that like Ukraine belongs to Russia, as we're not and in Putin's speech at least, not going back to USSR times, but like all the way back to Nicholas Tsar's times. It's just like
Putin is, I think, on the record saying anyone who doesn't miss the Soviet Union is heartless. Anyone who thinks we can bring it back is a fool. So I think I think you're right. He wants to rebuild the Tsar rather than the USSR.
Yeah, the Russian Empire.
Yep.
And another quick thing about like a mask as it were, I'm gonna still wear mine despite what like the requirements are for me wearing a mask or not. I think this week or next week, at the company I work at, we no longer are required to wear the mask. Yeah, I think that's despite like vaccination status. As you know, before when they did lift mask requirements, you had to like present that you had got vaccinated in order to do that, as it were. But now I'm thinking like I wonder if people are just like saying despite vaccination
Regardless
status.
of your
Yeah.
vaccination status, yeah.
Mhm.
They also lifted it at the school I teach at, the
Mhm.
mask mandate. And of course, everyone immediately took full advantage of it. I'm kind of conflicted
Mhm.
because, I'm surrounded by dirty, filthy students, and it makes it that much more likely I'm definitely going to get it because, I'm
Mhm.
interacting with dozens of people every day.
Yeah.
On the other hand, being able to see someone's mouth makes it so much easier to understand what they're saying. Speech is so much visual as well as auditory.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's, but for me, I take the bus to go into work. There's still
Mhm.
federal laws require me to wear a mask when taking the bus and other forms of public transportation, as it were. So,
I wouldn't think that would be a federal law. That would have to be a state law. Well,
Yeah,
actually,
that
unless the bus line is also interstate.
shade.
Hmm.
it seems like county
All I'm
that.
saying is I don't think that federal mandates can cover that.
Well, maybe it's like federal law, federal mandates, or federal regulations, but that's what they say on like intercom sort of thing. They
Oh,
Mhm.
the pre-script thing that they play every once in a while.
Hmm.
So I think they're still expecting me
Well, I'll
to wear
defer
a
to
mask.
them then.
Yeah, they still provide the mask though, so it's
Yeah.
just like it's almost no excuse for someone to like not wear a mask. All depends on the bus drivers if they want to enforce that or not. Because I did saw a woman not wearing a mask and had a mug yeah, thermos.
People are
Is
dicks and jerks and butts.
mm-hmm,
yeah. What do you call it? I work in direct patient care, so
mm-hmm,
I still have to wear mine.
mm-hmm.
But there was just recently an email. The support staff, uh, not in direct patient areas, no longer have to wear them,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of vaccination status.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that like so it's like all hospitals, all like elderly care, patient care, or like people who are caring for like immunocompromised people, as that's where, they still have to like wear masks. But it's like it seems like
That should
for
be
most everyone,
standard most of the time
yeah.
anyway.
I was gonna say, and what do you call it? It'd be nice. It'd be nice to see any kind of food prep areas as well.
Mhm.
Just in general, like especially because most of those jobs don't have a robust sick leave program or enough
Oh
leave
yeah,
to cover when people are sick.
yeah.
So uh, if you're not going to let that employee not come in when they have a slight cold, I would at very least like them to not,
Mhm.
be infectious all over the food.
Yeah, all these again, going back to all these essential workers jobs, which is often be the lowest paying jobs, and
That's
then
why
just
that's
like,
how you can tell they're essential.
Yes.
Jobs that are absolutely necessary get paid poorly. Teachers, nurses, trash
Yeah,
collectors, people who work in restaurants. People whose jobs don't matter
custodian.
at all get paid an awful lot.
David, I'm not reading out what you
Also,
said.
and also jobs that involve a lot of passion,
Hmm.
jobs that people really want because it's the sort of thing you dream about doing.
Mhm.
The majority of those are also criminally underpaid.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like
Hit both of those.
Were you about to say something, Asai? It sounded like you.
No, it's saying
Oh.
custodians don't get paid a lot.
Yep.
yep, another
Oh,
essential.
that's
People
an
who take
example
care
of
of people,
those
who
that
help
great
people,
jobs.
who keep the world clean. I mean, they get paid shit.
Yeah, like David Graeber actually explored this fully in like one chapter
Bullshit
of
jobs.
bullshit jobs. Theory. Sounds like and they say it's like, well, why do you want to be like paid more and stuff like that? Don't you love being a teacher? It's the like excuses were, or he even experienced that when like he would just like being the weird place because he was a professor of anthropology at like a prestigious like a university in London as well, London School of Economics, and he would like go to these cocktail parties, but yet he's from a working class background, and so it's just like, oh, you're an anthropologist. That's quite interesting. It's like, my job's quite interesting. What do you do for a living? No, nothing at all. I don't do anything at all at work. Which that's the start of that like whole journey for him to like explore that issue
exploring
and find
the fact that people just don't like their jobs and don't think they actually do anything all day.
they themselves know that like what they're doing is entirely bullshit, and it's a job that doesn't need to exist, but it does, and it's like, and some of them are paid well to do that too. Corporate lawyers, and most corporate lawyers, it's like, oh my god, that's so true. I don't contribute anything to society.
That's why lawyers are among the highest professions. Yeah. That's why corporate lawyers and so on, tax lawyers, they have such high rates of depression, substance abuse, and suicide attempts. They're among the worst for that. David Greger is absolutely right. Bullshit jobs are incredibly psychologically harmful.
Right. And quick mention in the comments. Limpy, yeah, I agree with that. The wearing a mask because like cigarette smoke smells less bad as a word. That totally makes sense. Plus, also
that's what the mask is for, is to block shit.
Yes. and since like it's become normalized now because of this pandemic, I think anytime I have a cold or a flu, I'm wearing that mask for sure, especially if I'm going nuts.
I can just picture you sitting at home wearing a mask. I'm keeping people safe.
What do you call it? Even throughout like sinus season, I get like backed up in coffee and phlegmy, and it's been great. Not have that there as opposed to normally where they weren't easily available.
Yeah.
God damn it, I hate when my headphones do this.
If we stop, if as a society we completely stop using them, I'll have to, start.
Come on, join the thing. I hope audio didn't cut out for everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Sorry, my headphones went out of sync slightly, and it made it very hard to listen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone was able to.
So now YouTube will let us know whether or not we just completely lost everything. Jordan Jumpy.
Hey, Jordan, how you doing? How's everyone doing? Sorry, not sure if I asked that. Joe, how you been doing?
Good. We've finally gotten to a point where, right now we're using aid from both contract CNAs and nurses, and even some National Guard help. And with that, we're at the point where pretty much the only overtime is the overtime people want, with very sporadically some mandatories. I worry that it's going to get to a point where we're going to have the help leave, and then we're going to be in a bad situation, but not as bad as it was. But at the moment, I've gone 2 weeks without getting forced. So.
Okay, yeah, that's. I had a conversation actually with my coworker because I just finally got a second person to work with me in the stockroom. And he's the kind of from his experience, he has never been forced to do overtime. They ask every single time, hey, you going to do some overtime? And nope. Are you going to come in on Saturday? Nope. Are you going to?
Hey, kid, you want to do some overtime?
And eventually, they kind of stop asking, as it were, because for him, he does need the weekend and not overwork more than 8 hours because just for the break, but also physically because he actually does have bad knee, and it's a case of where it's like, yeah. The doctors have looked at his bad knee, but they can't figure out what's wrong with him. And so he just has a bad knee, and sometimes it causes him pain and discomfort. And it's just like, yeah, it's like, so I don't blame my coworker for not wanting to do overtime. I'll do the overtime if it needs to be. Thankfully, this weekend, we didn't. When I thought that we were going to ramp up production, as it were, ramping up production is still going to happen, and it's going to happen for the next year or two, essentially. And it's just like, Well, when they like said like we're gonna try to reduce your like hours, here's some more work to do. And yes, and Mitchell, thanks for like joining us. So like, and yes, unfortunately, and hi to Mitchell's daughter as well, because yes, the uncivilized parts of the world that spring forward early before everyone else.
Oh, David, you do manners. You have to, otherwise the ghosts that live in your haunted house will kill you.
Uh, and since it's the second Sunday of the month, is the patron show, so Joe McCory is to join with us. Any other patrons can like join the link as well. Forgot to mention that yesterday when Tim, my talk to teacher, was in my stream yesterday. But let's thank the other patrons. So scrolling down at the bottom of the screen on the YouTube, as it were. Let's thank Marty, Flora, Illy, Tim, the Fuck Boys, and Von Rack. And
Yes.
did I get everyone? Yes. Okay. You make this all
And Joe.
possible. Well,
Who
And
happens to be
Joe.
right there.
I forgot to thank you, Joe.
I had just assumed that he was talking so fast and I missed it, but
I've seen some other bad takes recently.
Mhm.
Both of them regarding the war. One of them will take me some effort to find because I saw it on Facebook, and Facebook makes posts disappear once you've seen them. First,
Yeah.
this one is from Madison Cawthorn, Republican representative from North Carolina, who may not be allowed to run this fall. We'll get to that after we go over his bad take. Remember that Zelensky is a thug. Remember the Ukrainian government is incredibly corrupt and incredibly evil and has been pushing woke ideologies in just the new woke world.
I was about to say, why is Zelensky a thug? And it's like, once the word woke was mentioned, it's like, oh, God.
Because he's been doing comedy that hurts Peyton's feelings.
And yet, it's
Ugh.
usually comedians or other comedians who like complain about like going to college campuses and the cancel culture or woke culture, as it were.
And I love this the weird combination of corruption and evil and woke. He wants to help poor people. That's why he's stealing their money. Just a friggin' moron.
Any fascist or conservative that talks long enough, they'll eventually like contradict themselves. They might be in the same conversation too.
It was in the same sentence. Okay. Now I'm going to spend some time digging through Facebook, see if I can't find that just awful, awful take about the cause of war. You guys go
are
ahead.
we talking about the people that are completely taking Putin's pretense for the war as
Oh
the
no,
actual-
it's almost it's not, of Russian origin,
It's
it's
even
Ukrainian
deeper than
origin. It is wild and entirely different. Let's see.
Oh, it was like talking about it's like, yeah, it's our fault that this war has happened, that Russia aggressed in.
Not
because
really.
NATO
It's about war in
pressing
general,
in.
not the Ukrainian war.
It's like, but that's just his excuse. That's not what's actually happening.
No, it's just war in general rather than this particular war.
Oh, okay, fun.
John Brown's looking for like at least a tiny bit of like a good news actually. It bit the surprise. I gotta post the link to Democracy Now! In chat. Just a bit of like just a tiny bit of headline. In surprising reversal, Guatemala's conservative president Ayando Guatemala came out against a recent passed bill increasing penalties for abortions and banning same-sex marriages. So the Guatemala Congress approved the bill on Tuesday, International Women's Day, and that was this past week. The International Men's Day. They happened on Tuesday, March 8th. But like these, Alejandro said no, I'm going to veto it. It's not only is there a technical differences, this is just a bad bill, and generally it violates the republic's political constitution. So the conservative Guatemalan president is a decent person, as it were. But conservatives are decent persons, and sometimes the Democrats, for example, Democratic Party, it's the fascists that are terrible people, always. Okay, so
It's
what
not in that
else is
person's
there?
feed.
John still is trying to find that. What so what's everyone? No, I already asked what everyone's been up to. That's the Taco thing. Seen any good movies recently? Because as far as I still have not seen like Don't Look Up.
I saw the Batman
Nazi?
yesterday.
What?
Not seen. I am a left-wing fascist, though, as according to some people.
Horseshoe theory. Horseshoe theory.
I haven't really seen any new movies lately. I have been binging We're in Hell's videos, which are very fun.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the Batman yesterday.
And what do you think of it?
It was good. I'm not really a superhero person, but I liked it.
Okay, that's good. Because I had one of my coworkers says he really loved it, enjoyed it, and thought it was really good. But he also loves Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. So
Ew.
I'm going to take it. Yes, so I'm going to. He really actually wanted me to like watch Batman v Superman and not listen by other people's opinions, as it were. That's the kind of thing where like the reviewers are liars or the critics are liars. So like, don't listen to the critics. So form your own opinion. It's like, no, my opinion was the critics were right about Batman v Superman. I wasted $2 to see that movie. And
$2? How the fuck did you only spend $2 seeing that movie? Did you
no,
wait until like a year later and go see it at the like way later theater?
Yeah, I saw it at the discount movie theater.
Gotcha.
Yes. So I saw it like months after its release, as it were. Yeah, but no, Steve Jobs, it seems to be enjoying the Batman too. So it's like, but like for me and going out to see movies, I don't know when I'm eventually going to go around to like doing that. As it were, I don't know, maybe early morning to like get a matinee, as it were. Shovel face as Batman. I couldn't watch like Don't Look Up. The president and her followers are stressing me out so badly. Oh, I can understand that.
There we
like,
go. I found it.
I
Not
got-
on Facebook. I finally found the correct way to Google it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it up on the screen. It'll take a minute for it to show up on YouTube so that you guys can see it. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and read it. When you eat meat, you eat the pain. You eat the trauma. You eat the slain. You eat the horror. You eat the stress. You eat the murder. You eat the mess. You eat the voiceless. You eat the caged. You eat the helpless. You eat the raged. You eat the captured. You eat the meek. You eat the terror. You eat the reek. You eat the blood. You eat the gore. And then you wonder why there's war. Eating meat
Okay.
causes war.
I mean, you could make a similar statement about eating vegetables and
Mm-hmm.
that are collected by people that are not well off or sourced not locally.
I mean, I can kind of see a little bit of a point. If you don't care about the pain and trauma of animals, it desensitizes you to suffering more generally. But no, I think that's just taking it from a little bit to like it's way two ends of the spectrum. It's impossibly no. That's just way too far.
Hey, Jamie J, how you doing?
I mean, I understand the moral arguments against eating meat. I kind of agree with them, but
Yeah, I personally do.
Does bore.
It doesn't do war. I mean, it does increase like carbon.
I'm sorry,
footprint.
Geek. I just saw what you put in chat. I'm gonna have to put you in timeout for a little while. I'm a social vegan. I don't do meats in EET.
You see, a radio host like they said that out loud as word, and it's just like no, that doesn't work when you actually
It works
have
better
to like
when
explain.
it's written down. Hey, Jimmy J,
yeah,
long time to see. Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, going back to the Batman. I intend to see it. It's just like every once in a while, it's good to have that new thing. And when I was 5 years old, they had a dark and gritty reboot of the Batman franchise, and it changed everything. Then when I was 25 years old, they had a dark and gritty reboot of the Batman franchise, and it changed everything. Then when I was 30 years old, they had a dark and gritty reboot of the Batman franchise, and it ruined everything. Now they're doing a dark and gritty reboot of the franchise. I mean,
Yeah. It's kind of like I'm like, yeah. How many times have we done dark and gritty already? From what I've heard of, like people who is like, I've made. They finally made Batman into a vampire.
Save for the one where they made Batman a blunt psychopath. I actually thought that most of the movie interpretations, I haven't seen the last one, were at least like interesting takes on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was. I mean, I was not aware of it at the time, but having Michael Keaton play Batman was a really interesting and controversial choice in 1986 because he was a comic actor, not
yes.
Not Batman. It'd be like having Tom Hanks play Batman, then or now.
Tom Hanks surprised people because he was always the comic actor from like Big or something like that, and then he's like in Dead Philadelphia, where it's just like, and so that's why there's like that Family Guy like little scene as to where I finally got it. It's Tom Hanks. He's a comedian actor. He's very funny. He's going to say something funny just now. I have AIDS.
But yeah, I mean, it's just proof that comic actors. I think this is a belief generally held in the industry, but that comic actors can segue into drama very easily because comedy is hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that drama is actually just easier than comedy because you don't have to have that same sense of timing. The ability to do something over and over and over again and have it still be funny. The ability to improvise and create that wonderful concoction.
Yeah, even comedic actors that are just kind of okay at comedic acting or like they go for lowbrow comedy still tend to be really good at drama.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like sometimes it's like up to the director as well because like in the because in the hands of a very good director you can take someone like Adam Sandler and cast him right as well, and he can give a Oscar-winning performance as well, like he did in Punch Drunk Love as well. It's how you use the actor well enough, honestly, in some regards too.
Yep.
And I agree, David Scott is like
Good comedy is hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can do like the easy hacking comedy and lowbrow, and like it's like there's a.
We all forgot about Daylight Savings Time, Gregor. That's why it's the title.
yeah. It's the link's still available for you to join. You still got like 45 minutes if you're willing to. I totally forgot about it too. I would have mentioned it. Yeah, exactly. It's only the U.S. It's only the U.S. that is spring forward. And honestly,
but even we forgot about it.
I just.
It was kind of funny because I didn't actually see the thing until the Facebook one came up because I had checked at like 1:45 and I saw it wasn't up there, and I checked again at 1 and it still wasn't up there. I'm like, I guess he just forgot, so I guess I'm just gonna drop back at 2, and I'm like, he forgot just 10 minutes late or he remembered just 10 minutes late.
Again, like I was up until like 3 a.m. last night, as it were, and didn't realize that like daylight savings already happened essentially. So it's just like, oh right, George W. Bush wanted to turn the clocks back because he knew that he could have the power to do so. And yes, that's the whole reason that like we spring forward very early compared to the rest of the world. It used to be the first weekend of like April or the last weekend of March, and now it's the first.
Yeah, it used to actually be when the season changed.
Yeah,
but both of them moved 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I doubt like you could ever like make a Ricky Gervais into a good dramatic actor, as it were.
You probably could, but it would be in a turf drama.
Yes, that would have to be that. Yeah.
But then Ricky Gervais isn't actually funny.
That's a good point too. Again, we were saying good comedians as were and good comedian
Say
actors.
I can't think of any like straight dramas he's been in, but like even in some of the comedies, he did okay in the dramatic scenes.
Yeah.
When
The
you
UK
were
version of
supposed
The
to
Office, I know he was in that. I
be
don't remember the rest.
legitimately bad for him as like trying too hard and failing, and like he sold that. It was good, but that doesn't make him a good person.
But I think that's because he was
No.
playing himself.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a good point that like Marty brings up.
I don't know if he's that self-aware.
It's because as we like as Marty Afanasy said before, it's like that's why he's not a good actor. It wasn't really acting. He's always been that kind of jerk in as he was in The Office.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais is a good example of the elevation of mediocrity. A white man can fail his way into wealth and fame.
That's true of the New Atheism as well.
Of which Ricky Gervais is a part.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
It was a much smaller part, but he was the British version of Bill Maher, I think.
Yeah, I can agree with that because, like, Richard Gervais definitely has like a strong atheist views as well. It's like, and just because I agree with him on atheism, that's the word doesn't mean it fuck him for like all the turf stuff. Obviously, this gender queer, non-binary person says.
Yep. You look confused about something there, Joe?
You were trying to remember something.
I was trying to remember something. I was trying to think of other things he's done besides The Office.
Extras. There was a show.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It was
He had famous actors
Showtime.
come in and be wildly weird and awful versions of themselves.
And also trying to remember another British atheist that I always confuse Ricky Gervais with.
Stephen Fry.
No, he was in the Invention of Lying.
Wait a minute. The Invention of Lying. Was that Tim Roth?
No.
Ricky Gervais was in The Invention of Lying.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
You couldn't remember whether Ricky Gervais was Ricky Gervais or not.
Oh man.
Okay, so so this is the opposite of like all the black people look the same. It's just like this one British person looks like so many other British people, as it were. That I thought this one British person was actually two different British people.
Well, white people all genuinely look the same.
Hello, Ellie.
Hello, people.
I think because his character is meant to be a sad sack in that movie,
Hey,
and Mandela affect myself into thinking that it must have been somebody else.
How are you doing, Ellie?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing okay. It's just
yeah, I've had some serious stomach problems this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Hence, we
Oh,
opened
yeah.
up by talking about poop stuff. You're thinking Jimmy Carr, Jimmy the Atheist? Joe?
Well, fuck Jimmy Carr, firstly, as we're. Jimmy Carr's another British comedian who's always does drawing wet, and he has like a jokes that like ties to his like atheists as well. If we're all God's children, what makes Jesus so special? It's most charities will stop at nothing. There's a joke there if you look.
Oh. That sneaks up on you. That's good.
Yeah. So he's a good comedian, but not a great person because of what.
Is he another turf?
I don't know exactly what it was. I kept it. They shared it on Facebook. I'm going to have to look up Jimmy Carr controversy or something like that. He is on Netflix, and I'm really questioning about canceling my Netflix after he did a Holocaust joke, so that's one thing.
Ooh.
Jimmy Carr. That's probably what I heard about. I'm sorry I interrupted you, Ellie. How you been doing?
I've been fine. Today I learned that J.K. Rowling sent flowers to Marilyn Manson for some reason.
Okay.
Probably because he got canceled after it turned out he was horrifically abusive.
Probably. I don't know. It's like, what kind of timeline is that? I can't handle it. It's so weird.
because she
because
really
he had,
cares
probably
about
because he had a
keeping
crush on
women from being
Marilyn
abused.
Manson.
And it's not really just that turf or that trans people gross her out.
No.
Yeah. What do you were saying something, Isaiah? Isaiah?
I was saying probably because maybe J.K. Rowling had a crush on Marilyn Manson back in the day.
Uh, I, I mean, I get Marilyn Manson is a good looking man, and sometimes it's word, and if that's everyone's thing, it's word. Tax avoidance is word. Yeah, yeah. Jimmy, I have seen one of his specials like years ago. Jimmy Carr. And while I love like the puns and like the quick those like jokes that sneak up on you and stuff like that, some of his like humor is just very shock humor as well. Same thing with like Ricky Gervais as were. But Ricky Gervais just like they thinks that like being an asshole is funny. So that's kind of like. And so maybe that's why Jimmy Carr did like the Holocaust joke. I need to like look into like that further to see what the exactly the details are. But like from what I've read and remember reading about that, it's just like it's just at least poor taste. It's at least very poor taste as were. Um, but yeah, J.K. Rowling. I don't know. I haven't heard about like her sending flowers to like Marilyn Manson. That's where I know that's. I know of like the Twitter controversy that happened. Again, anytime that J.K. Rowling or like Voosh is like trending on Twitter, I'm just going to avoid what like they're talking about. And it occasionally comes on my feed as were, because Vosh defending trans people with trans misogyny. Just no. Shut up, Vosh.
Okay.
Just shut up.
I was looking into the J.K. Rowling Marilyn Manson thing. It wasn't over cancellation because she sent the roses in January 2020. He wasn't canceled until 2021.
Mm.
It appears that, according to this article I found, that it looks like it's either because of Manson's public support of Johnny Depp, because Marilyn Manson is actually a godfather to Depp's child.
So they're close.
So
Yeah.
they have a close connection there, and of course Rowling has a connection with Johnny Depp through the Fantastic Beasts movies. But it also might be as a thank you for helping her with occult bullshit in her latest books. So I did not know that Manson and Depp were friends. That's weird.
Given Manson's aesthetic, it's not surprising, but
Yeah, it's also not surprising. Johnny Depp was always an interesting person, and then hearing about it's really really messy, like the messy stuff is where because like at first when I heard about it, I don't know the details, so I guess I shouldn't comment on it too much. But it's just like if like if Johnny Depp did like hit his partner, then screw Johnny Depp for that at least. The Carr joked that a positive of a Holocaust that was a genocide of thousands of the G word as a slur by Nazi Germany. I remember that like so yeah, Jimmy Carr deserves the backlash. That's a word.
Was that the how? I'm struggling to find humor.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Is that just pandering to prejudice against travelers
In
there
Roma?
in Britain? Yeah, I mean
Probably.
Probably.
Because there was a meme I saw of like a man with a laughing face of like Europeans laughing at like Americans when they Europeans when they meet Americans racism, ha 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 ha. But then the stern straight face of like when a European meets a Roma person.
Mm-hmm. Europeans have so many weird prejudices.
Yeah, it's just like, but also like again with going back to unfortunately the Ukraine situation, the treatment of the white refugees versus like the non-white refugees, and also treatment of like European refugees by most imperialist countries as opposed to Syrian refugees and that sort of thing. The mismatched treatment there.
It's disgusting. It's really, it's so disgusting.
So again, let's cancel white people and like ban whiteness.
Wow. I'm just reading up on Right Wing Watch, where there's been some infighting among the far right following AFPAC, the white supremacist conference. Oh,
That
sorry, the
did
America
happen
First
recently.
Political Action Committee. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
But yeah, one member of the fascist right criticized Marjorie Taylor Greene, who spoke at AFPAC, saying that she was like disgusting, that she was perpetuating useless own the libs conservatism, and accused her of embracing race-based reparations to own the libs. Disgusting, and things like that. But Nick Fuentes, who organized the thing, praised her, thanked her for showing up. So this woman, Lauren Vitsky, who worked for the guy who criticized Marjorie Taylor Greene, had to post this groveling apology, asking Groypers and to forgive her for possibly disrespecting our great and merciful leader. So apparently Nick Fuentes has significant power over minor figures on the far right. And I didn't know that he was the organizing guy behind AFPAC.
Yes, which the AFPAC, because they created AFPAC because CPAC was not bigoted and like fascist enough.
Even though they had a Nazi rune on as their actual stage. Not just the Norse rune that represents purity, but the Nazi version of that rune. Including putting a giant hole in the middle of their stage.
That's just bad design for a stage anyway. It'd be awkward to try to like walk off to the podium as well.
You could have the full stage and just, paint the rune on the floor. But no, they had to make the stage out of the rune.
It's usually the right kind of white that's the problem, as it were.
What is the right kind of white?
Yeah.
Norway. They want Norway. Not the reindeer herders, not the Laplanders, just the white people, the white ones.
Wherever the Vikings come from, that's probably the right kind of white. I just had a thought. The thing about the other news. Damn it. There's always infighting amongst the right, apparently, and yet they see the left infighting force. But that's because it's only when they look at the liberals as where then it's mostly is a unified front with the liberals.
Well, after a fashion, I think we can also agree that the Democrats and the Republicans are both liberals.
Well, yes, exactly. Hey, because
Actually,
liberalism is...
I don't know about that. Liberalism includes the support of a limited democracy.
A lot of the right wing have stopped being liberals.
The far right. The Democrats are still liberals. They still support capitalism and limited democracy.
I'm just saying that as much as there is no far left in the Democratic Party, there's definitely some far right in the Republican Party.
Yep.
Yes, they embraced it. Starting all the way back with Nixon, honestly, because Ronald Reagan showed up at white supremacist rallies, if I remember correctly, too.
Mm-hmm. Well,
He went to
Reagan started the trend of showing up at the site of and the anniversary of racist riots, massacres, lynchings, things like that.
Yeah.
Well, he also went to the night he went to Neshoba County.
Yeah, that's where he launched his campaign on the anniversary of the murder of social workers or vote ballot.
It's civil rights workers.
There we go. Voters. That's what I'm looking for.
Civil rights.
And he also pioneered the America First thing, which was a shout out to Nazis.
Yep.
So, yeah, Reagan was a white supremacist.
Mm-hmm.
Nixon, I think, was just a narcissist.
Yeah, I can see Nixon more of opportunist or narcissist, as it were. It just it helped his cause, as it were. It's why the war on drugs.
War on drugs intended to target hippies and black people. Oh, and Mexicans.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
why they called it marijuana instead of cannabis or anything like that, or hemp.
Yep. Or weed.
Mhm.
Or pot. What else is in there in the news? Because the news is kind of depressing. I haven't focused a lot on the news as a word.
The Texas
Oh
thing,
yeah.
injunction.
Oh, that's right. That's a good news. The
Oh,
Texas
mhm.
that was the anti-trans bill. That's the
Yes,
word.
they put an injunction on not helping trans children transition, or
Right.
actually declaring it to be child abuse.
Yes, exactly.
God damn.
Tulsi Gabbard was always that kind of weird leftist as it were, as it's always
Well, she was a
that's,
Joe Manchin style pseudo. Well, what do
yeah.
you call them? Not actually center right, but actually far right, masquerading as center right.
Yeah, she was the only thing is wasn't she the anti-imperialist candidate or anti-American eventualist in it? And now it's helped spreading Russian lies about Ukraine's bioweapon labs.
I mean,
I don't remember.
that's not necessarily hypocritical, or because just because she doesn't think that America shouldn't invade people and should stick to its own doesn't mean that she's not okay with other nations doing it. And also,
That's a good point.
the belief that Ukraine had it coming is
Mm.
definitely a way to dissuade anyone from thinking that America should step in and stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Where have I heard that story about bioweapons before?
Iraq.
Oh,
Yeah.
which the Iraq invasion is the Captain. Yes, we all saw that. Which the model Putin's honestly model of his activities in Ukraine is modeled off of what the U.S. did in Iraq, but most people we got support in doing so to Iraq, and we were much bigger, and Iraq didn't, or anyone supporting Iraq didn't have nuclear or weapons to war, except for maybe Iran, but Iraq became the battleground between the U.S. and Iran for decades now.
Mhm.
And so
And Russia has strong interest there as well.
no, yes, exactly, that's right, in that region too.
I wanted to look up and see if Tulsi Gabbard had Russian ethnic ancestry or something to help explain it, but no, she's a weird Samoan European mutt who grew up in Hawaii.
Yeah. History in Hawaii of imperialism in America shittery too.
Mm-hmm.
Typical. But unfortunately, yeah, just how the U.S. target places of everyday activity and necessities for the Iraqi people. So Russia
It was a suspiciously large gathering of people. They were dancing around in their weird tunic things. That was a wedding, man.
Yes. And yeah, so Russia has bombed children's hospitals and other places like that. Terrible news. I'm trying to find good news or think of good news. So the injunction on the Texas bill is good. Unfortunately, there's the don't say gay bill in Florida. Yes, I say you can apologize for being from Florida. I'm sure you hate it there too. Because Governor Ron DeSantis is just that one seems to be having more opposition though, because it's just a much wider, much broader don't say gay as opposed to being anti-trans. Sadly, if you trans is a smaller population of the LGBTQIA plus community, but if you say don't say gay or just don't talk about your gay experiences as were or your gender experiences, or don't talk about sexuality or gender to kids K through 3, then which is not what that bill was for. Ron DeSantis' line. Then it's just it wants to silence basically gay people or children of gay people and that sort of thing. Again, same kind of tactics of bigotry as it were, because when they don't have any other policies whatsoever to speak of, you can jingle up your base with your bigotry.
In fun news, this is actually from a month ago, but it's something I just heard about and it was fun. The Satanic Temple held a national convention in Scottsdale, Arizona, the weekend of February 11th through 13th. The employees at the hotel said that the Satanists were perfectly wonderful, nice. They called them wholesome. Meanwhile, outside, you of course have conservative Christian douchebags protesting the thing. And how bad was it? The Protestants and Catholics got into fights over why the Satanists were wrong. They got arrested.
Okay.
The Satanists didn't start any fight. They were wholesome. The Christians got into fights over the wrong way to be satanic, I guess.
It's kind of like, no, they're right over there. They're right over there. You can talk to them. You can converse with them. You can find out what if you're wrong about something. Oh wait, they don't want to be proven wrong. So they just
I forget. Is this is the satanic temple that is
atheist, and they like to fuck with Christians. They troll them
that are trying to prove the ridiculousness of what do you call it, religious exemptions by claiming them in the name of
and
the
they
Church
also
of Satan.
they actually genuinely help people. This is not the Church of Satan, which is a bunch of magical, mystical nonsense.
Oh yeah.
Wait, you're a Catholic? You should be inside with them. You're a Satanist too.
Oh yes. Think about that. Is there such a thing as Christian unity? Is there such a thing as like right unity? And so, and then like goes back to like left unity, and just like it. When has there been like you're trying to like broaden the group out to large enough group of people? Eventually, there's going to be tensions involved. You just can't like. We can work together, but it's like I don't think like we can all be like in part of one old big organization.
And we shouldn't want to be one big organization. We should want to be anarchist, fluid, separate, coming together to work on individual issues that we have our interests in.
Yeah. If U.S. inflation is going to be high, but it's like I think that's like that's more of just like companies raising prices on those sort of things. And gas
that's
prices.
what inflation is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, gas prices, I think, being the bigger contributor to that right now, as we're, but like across the board, I think the prices will rise. Well, when the gas prices rises and stay at that level as well, it rises the price of like everything up. Yes, and I agree, Mithra. Every sperm is sacred.
Yep.
That's why you should spread them far and wide.
when a company's costs go up 4% and they raise their prices 12%. The problem for inflation is not the 4% rise.
In cost, yep. Another thing. Oh, something else I learned this week. This one goes back to history. Memorial Day, when the U.S. honors its soldiers. Do you know the origins of that?
I don't know, but I'm surprised it would be like something patriotic, or they're trying to.
That was what do you call it? That was a switch from Armistice Day because we wanted to go to war without feeling bad anymore, or no? There was that Veterans Day.
Memorial Day here in the U.S. goes back before World War I. So kind of consider the worst possible thing that happened generally before World War I to be the origin of Memorial Day.
Was it the labor rights movement in the U.S.?
Nope. That would actually be a good thing. And they are the ones who gave us
Labor Day, International Workers' Day.
Yep.
Yeah, May Day.
No, Memorial Day is because honoring Confederate soldiers.
USA, you like learn it. You continue to be very shitty, as it were. Was a terrible history. Hide it behind something else, though. No, it's Memorial Day. We honored the fallen soldiers, and Veterans Day.
We honor all soldiers here except black ones.
Yes, exactly.
We honor the fallen soldiers. I mean, they fell to preserve the institution of slavery, but
No, they
we don't.
fight for states' rights, motherfucker. They're defending their home. They're loyal. Yeah, I learned that from an excellent video on the Lost Cause by the Cynical Historian on YouTube.
The cynical historian is actually quite good.
Mm.
I like him.
He's friends with like Tristan Johnson of Step Back History,
And
and
I
like
think
just
he also Atten Shea Films, who also does a lot of stuff on the Confederacy. Civil War.
oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fuck the Lost Cause.
Yeah, fuck the Lost Cause. Okay, I was just perusing like Google News feed, and here's a little something like gaming news as well. Humble is removing all EA and Origin keys from the Humble store, or they will soon be invalid, as it were. It's kind of an interesting
Why
thing.
is that?
I'm trying to like read into that and look that up as it were.
It's
But
because
like,
EA is a horrible company that abuses their employees, like every large game manufacturer.
yeah, pretty much at this point, like if any large enough game manufacturing development company or publishing company, it's just like I'm going to assume there's going to like unless I'm told otherwise, I'm just going to assume there's like a harassment going on because that seems to be like the typical thing amongst like across like Ubisoft, Activision, Riot Games is either. Oh, but the EA was also like always Unicron Arts, just like absorbing all the smaller studios and gobbling it up and like chewing it out and spitting them out. This were. The developer behind the Dead Space series was this one as were. It's amazing that like Bioware is still Bioware now after Anthem as were.
Mm-hmm. And I also recently watched a 3-hour video by H Bomber Guy on Deus Ex, the sequel to Deus Ex. Actually, I can't remember the name of it.
It's fine, actually, I think.
Yeah, and he went through how difficult it was to understand the history of the development because the original studio folded and it got bought up and it got moved around and just trying to follow the history of who owned what and the name of the company because it kept on getting renamed Eidos and it was just he had a lot of good humor at that.
Oh, okay. Apparently, it's just like EA Origin Games. Again, this Origin, like EA's own like game launcher, something like kind of like their own version of Steam and something like that. They're just removing like the codes or the keys from like other various sites. Some of those just being one of them, but they're also removing them from like Fractal, Games Planet, and Green Man Gaming. It's just so unclear why EA is deciding to do that, though.
Probably so they can move to Montreal.
Oh, probably. Yep. All right. Give Phoenix money.
Always.
Always. All right. What else is there to talk about? Ellie, what's the news? What's the recent happenings in Denmark? Do you have anything to like mention or tell us about? Especially, go ahead.
I'm probably going to another demonstration for disability rights, but I kind of don't know if that's still going on with all the war and stuff because it might not be sort of the best time to do it, but at the same time it's like the thing in Ukraine also affects disabled people and queer people, so there's still something to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
But it is. I mean, I'm fully aware of like the racist aspect in how we treat Ukrainian refugees versus how we treated the ones from Syria. But it's still a little bit sort of scary when it's that close to you. Russia is kind of close to Denmark, so it is a bit scary to think about. But I don't think they're going to go in with nuclear weapons. It's just like they're just rattling the
Saber
saber.
rattling.
Yeah, and like North Korea always does. They threaten a lot of because it would ruin so much for Russia if they did bomb another country with nuclear weapons.
Well, especially like Ukraine with the black earth soil that they have, they grow a lot of food there for like most of Europe. So it's just like I think just to show that you can do it doesn't mean like it's good enough. Or to show I mean business. I don't think the additional the side effects of that will be like advantageous for that. And plus,
I think
like,
nuclear weapons should be banned.
oh, I agree, but like
Yeah.
that's not going to happen because U.S. is not going to ban their nuclear weapons because they would rather everyone else ban their nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if like they do say, okay, you first, North Korea, which they also like to demonstrate that they have a missile that they can like do or done some testings on, as it were. But I think that's just a show of force of like look what we can do. But even if like if U.S. will, if the U.S. says they might like pinky swear to like disarm their nuclear weapons, they'll say you first, North Korea, you first, Iran, but then they won't do it even if all their enemies do it. It's China especially. They'll wait for the last minute for China to do it, but then still not do it for themselves.
But it is like it's not. I've been trying to stay out of the news, to be honest, because it's too depressing.
Me
I
too.
agree.
Found a fun story.
Okay.
Apparently, a group here in Madison, Wisconsin, has put forth a lawsuit against Ron Johnson and two other GOP congressmen in the state that, because of their support for the January 6th nonsense that they violated the disqualification clause of the 14th Amendment and should not be eligible for re-election.
I see. So hopefully that goes through because, like, yeah, anyone that gets involved in like the January 6th, I don't think should like run for office at all, including all those like senators and Congress people that in office right now that like help January 6th happen behind the scenes.
They should be ejected from the thing and charged with sedition.
Yes.
Yeah. or at very least, not be able to run for re-election.
Yeah, I agree. Marty Abnathy. Hey, Marty. Thanks for joining us. I saw this today. Vladimir Putin's cruise missiles could reach the UK in an hour if NATO enters like a Ukraine war against Russia.
Let's see, what is Truth Social?
I don't know about like Truth Social as were, but I do.
Oh,
but I do think,
right, the new Twitter.
Oh, that new Twitter.
Yes, Trump's Twitter.
Okay, so Gab wasn't good enough. Parlay wasn't good enough. Trump wanted his own to like his own Twitter.
And it's not even the first one he tried.
Yeah.
No, it's probably not. No.
But the thing is, they're never going to be able to replace it because it's only going to be them, and they don't want to talk to each other. They want to troll the libs. That's what social media is for them.
Yes. Only just the libs, well, because they're fascists, so of course they would just want to own the libs. It's because the liberals,
That's their entire ideology.
Yes, that is their entire ideology. The liberals,
they just want to hurt people. That is the point. That is what fascism is for.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and I agree that like Sally and Jack Skeleton are both cute. Let's see. What else is there to talk about? Yeah, there's like.
Go
Go ahead. I mean, mine was an unimportant thing. I just remember. Oh yeah, there's a baseball lockout, as it were, or a walkout. That players of like they're not like their like contracts, as it were. So that's why baseball hasn't started yet. But that's baseball, so it's just
they've actually come to an agreement, and it's going to be starting real soon.
Okay. So it's just a delay on the thing, anyway. Because that was like the first time.
That's why it hasn't started so far. But yeah.
But that was like the first time since like the 1994 player strikes that like there was like negotiations, as it were, between like the sports teams and the players. So the fact that they come to an agreement, So for workers' rights, even if they're like rich workers, like the baseball players, but then again, there's a lot of baseball players that aren't rich that like are to go to all the teams only get like $1 million at most, if that is where, which it's a lot of money for most people, but like for some people, it's just like depending on how they live, it's still not enough to cover the expenses sometimes, as where, which is why there was like many players, even players you didn't ever heard of, that were doping up using like testosterone, steroids, as were, and like yeah.
I don't know the impetus of this one, but actually the last one, the last big one was uh, wasn't even about the people who had big salaries. It was about raising the salary floor, not raising the not putting the making it so even the rookies who are just out of AAA would be making enough that the fact that they're engaging in a sport that can destroy your body and leave you rendered terrible forever, and actually get a decent percentage of the immense profits that are generated by the owners and the organization.
Mm-hmm.
In a sort of similar note, the NFL is being sued.
Good.
Former Dolphins coach Brian Flores,
Mm-hmm.
a black man. He's alleging racial discrimination and mistreatment because he coached a winning set of seasons before being fired,
Mm.
and he alleges that he was brought in to lose and that he was fired because he won. And he also alleges that he did not get a job because they brought him in only to, I think, either are you playing a video of some kind?
We're hearing a video in the background.
I'm sorry, that's me.
Ah,
My
that was his
bad.
eye. Okay.
I didn't mess with anything. I don't think it's me.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so Flores has brought a massive lawsuit um, in which he brings in a whole lot of facts that look really bad for the NFL, including some bad documents that show that he was not even up for consideration when he was brought in to interview. And this is something that the NFL has a long history with of racism at every level. Like there's
And
only like
misogyny.
Well, that goes without saying, but like only like 3% of their quarterbacks are black, and a similar figure for head coaches, despite the fact that a large amount of the sport is black. And coaches, assistant coaches, and special division coaches are usually recruited from the ranks of the players, and then head coaches are recruited from their ranks, and so on. And black coaches get fired pretty much routinely, and white coaches are given second, third, even fourth chances after having just terrible records. And so,
Yeah.
and it even goes on to say that the way the scouting reports talk about athletes is very different for black and white athletes. White athletes, they talk about internal things, how basically how smart, clever, and good they are at the game. Black athletes, they talk about their physical presence. Um, it's a litany. It's 60 pages of just laying out in clear, concise terms with lots of evidence how racist the NFL is. This talk is brought to you by our Opening Arguments podcast.
No, I have heard about that like lawsuit before, as where they talk about like racial discrimination. Yeah, not surprising that there's like because like it's then the majority owners and majority of GMs and majority of high upper management levels of like in the team organizations is of white people, as were you're going to get the racism. I mean, over a decade ago, there was like that the basketball owner of the LA Clippers kind of like saw himself as like a plantation owner, as were.
Mm-hmm. And then going back even further, Jimmy the Greek, a sports commentator back in the 70s, basically lost his job because he said, "No, blacks are natural athletes. They got these great big muscles on their legs," and it's like, whoa. Although he probably would have said it with either a New York or Boston accent.
Yeah.
You don't get a guy like Jimmy.
Well, see, that's why I never lift weights, because I don't want to be mistaken for like a big black person.
Oh, you're going to be mistaken for a big black person anyway. We routinely assess you as like a higher threat level, especially if you're a black male.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. despite the age, is like many black people like get that like mistreatment from the cops, even when they still have like a squeaky voice, as or propaganda.
And they
Prop
will rate the 13-year-old as being an 18-year-old.
Yeah, they have done
Now
that.
for some
Yeah.
positive news, something that I think we will all enjoy. Um, you probably are aware of this better than anyone else, as I. There was a wildfire outside Panama City in Florida.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
And
had
a
some
woman.
really
Go ahead.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead, Zaya.
No, I was just saying. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a woman living, in Panama City, running a cat shelter. Wildfire was approaching her property, and she had to pack up 86 cats and one bunny and get them out of there in just a few minutes. And she managed to do so, and they were all safe.
That's good.
Hmm. So I think that is a
Oh,
good
the
way
cats.
to
Shelter, damn.
some good news to end the show on.
Yep. We're coming up to like 90 minutes marks, and like, sorry about like the daylight savings times. We're
I completely
but,
forgot about it. I routinely rely on my computer
did.
automatically changing the time for me.
I get. I was up until like past 3 a.m., so that's why I didn't notice the change as were, because it's like, oh well, I'm gonna get up in about like 5 hours from now. So yeah, Isaiah's YouTube channel is like a Sinister Intelligence. You put up a new channel like on Friday, Isaiah. Is that true?
Yep. Yep. New video. 81 subscribers and over 25 videos.
That's good. Of course, I'm Summer Geek on Twitter, Summer Geek on Twitch, Summer Geek on YouTube. I'm gonna be posting more videos on YouTube. Probably will stream later today on Twitch after they eat something. And don't know what I'm gonna be doing on Twitch exactly. Maybe a politics stream, but like for sure a gaming stream after that as well. Ellie, Joe, any like plugs you want to plug other than the DC of human beings?
I just wanted to say, give Phoenix money, and then you can follow my cat account if you want.
Oh,
I follow your cat on Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was your cat account on Twitter again?
It's I will put it into the bar maybe.
Okay.
Is my internet connection lagging a little bit?
It lagged a little bit on our end, but we were able to hear you. So yeah, it's just the videos lagged.
Yeah, but it's like I will put it somewhere. I will just put it in the chat.
Yeah. So as Zia, no, not as Zia. Ellie is putting like Vosh is trending again on Twitter. Ignore Vosh. As Ellie's gonna put like his like a cat account on like in Twitter's and oh okay no there it is. Okay, so I'm going to that's what it is. I'm gonna copy that and put it into the link. Bam. There we go.
If that spelling annoys you, it's probably not the account for you, but it's cat speak. So,
There we go. There's the so El Cato Fam.
yeah, it was to avoid writing. It's because one of my last names has the word ram in it. So I wanted to write Ram's cat, but then it would be Ram's cat. So so that's why I did it the other way.
Reminds me of one of my favorite like internet misspelling jokes.
Yeah.
About the website that tells the story of World War II from the perspective of Hitler's cat. Just go to germanscat.com.
Just scat.
Don't forget an album cover. Let's see.
Yeah.
For all
Uh,
Pen needs, go to penam.com.
oh, John, are you part of another podcast?
I am indeed. DungeonsandDebacles.com. Or the podcast. It's Dungeons and Debacles. It's a D&D game. But very different from this. Not that different, but we're playing D&D.
One final thing, charity links page. Jim J and I are curating that, so don't forget the charity links page. Phoenix's links are also in charity links page. If you want to give like a little bit more money to like Phoenix, I already gave her the money as it were. But if you just still want to give money to Phoenix, because why not? Charity links page as well as many other like people's like links are down below. So, ta-ta.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Oh.